Hello, and a very good evening to all of you, and welcome back to another episode of Linked Up with Amitha. Now, today you might be seeing a little candlelight dinner environment in my lighting setting. That's because thanks to our brilliant administrators. So, I'm doing this show today, something like this. Right. So this is my setup today. So I'm on 100% self-sufficient power and energy, right? So that's how I'm bringing you the show today because I have a power cut, a scheduled power cut till 8:30 from 6 in the evening. But nevertheless, show must go on. So we have all the battery power lined up for us to actually have this program. So I mean, if you've been connecting to linked up with Amitha live right throughout since I started this early this year, you know what the show is about. I'm bringing in some professionals, Sri Lankan expat professionals doing well in some other markets. I'm bringing them on my show, and I try to create a platform for them to share knowledge with our Sri Lankan professionals. So that's the platform that I'm trying to connect or create. So if you're joining in, I can see the LinkedIn feed. I can see a lot of people are connecting, and of course from Facebook also a few people are already here. So can I see from where you are connecting, LinkedIn, Facebook, and how many times have you watched before this show? If you are a regular, please let me know. Like okay, who here has watched all the shows from Roshan to Manoj to Samantika to yeah, last week and all that, right? Who here was there for all the shows? And let me know. All right. Okay. Mohammed Faham is from Qatar joining in. Yes, Mohammed. Thank you very much. And yes, we have Shan Kaluarachi. And yes, who else is joining in here today? Who has been there for all the time right throughout. Okay, keep your comments coming in the meantime. So today also I have an interesting guest lined up for this discussion. Now all this time I've talked to people in Europe and Asia. One person, Lakmali from Asia, of course, she's working in Myanmar, and I had like three professionals from UK, and today I'm going to go to the other corner of the world. So the other corner of the world is Canada. From Canada, our guest today is Nadheera Udawaththe. So I'm going to invite him on screen in a while. But before that, here's a quick introduction about Nadheera. Nadheera is a digital marketer and a business intelligence analyst with over 10 years experience in marketing, communications, analytics, and digital enablement. He's a Google AdWords certified partner, expert in website conversion rate optimization, analytics, search engine optimization, Google AdWords, Tag Manager, social media advertising, and Salesforce administration. And he's a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing UK, and he holds a bachelor's degree in statistics from the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. And Nadheera is a past pupil of the Royal College Colombo. So, with that brief introduction, let me invite Nadheera. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Amitha.
I think I have to wish you good morning, right? So, what time is it now?
It's 6:40 in the morning.
6:40 in the morning. All right. So here
Yeah,
it's like 8:10. So it's almost like a half
at
a
the
day,
other
so
end.
rather.
Yeah,
Yeah, the other end of the whole spectrum, and I can see the difference in weather as well. So I'm here like uh, really steaming inside with no fan, no AC, nothing, without electricity, and I can feel that you are shivering and
yeah. It's a
uh,
bit cold, about maybe about 5 degrees outside.
Oh,
But
five degrees.
yeah,
That's not bad in Canadian standards, right?
actually, yeah, that's right. In Bangkok, it has a really mild weather, so we don't go
Right.
down below like -5 in the harsh winters even. We get snow like 2 to 3 days a year.
All right. Okay. Cool. So Nadira, so here today we are here to actually talk about data-driven insights and all that. But before that, I mean, for the benefit of our audiences here today, let's like I mean get a quick introduction. Tell us a little about yourself, and we would like to hear about your story back here in Sri Lanka. We'll start from there, like what I mean your beginnings and what you did in Sri Lanka before you moved to Canada, and for the interest of our audience.
Yeah, sure. So I'll start from the beginning. I can't forget my family. So I come from a very I would say poor or like a very normal family in Sri Lanka, and my father used to work for the government, and my mother used to be a teacher in a school. So that's how normal that we were. And from scholarship exam, I got the opportunity to go to Royal College. After that, from the A levels, I got University of Sri Jayewardenepura. So in university, I joined this program called ISEC. Have you heard of that, Amitha?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
ISEC is a international student exchange, and there I had to use digital marketing tools like email, flyers, banners to coordinate with other ISEC members from other countries. Like ISEC is present in about 120, I think maybe about 150 countries now, and that really got me engaged and interested in digital marketing. So that's something I tell youngsters, anyone starting out: find your passion. It's not what your mother or father tells you to become an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer. It's about finding what you like, and then you can really
Mm.
excel in it. And after that, I through ISEC network, I got the opportunity to work for Rebels. That's like a startup. It was like a startup digital marketing agency. I had to thank Indika Aya for getting me into that. And then after that, I used to work for RoomsNet, where Amitha used to work for a long time. And after that, I have to thank Amitha for recruiting me for Neo at Ogilvy when they were just starting. And that's where I got a lot of my digital
Yes,
media
actually,
exposure
I
from.
mean, a lot of the people, I mean, they might be interested to know. Actually, Nadira is the second employee after me. So I was the first employee for New at Ogilvy, and Nadira was the second hire we made for that team. And I think you worked for about like 3 years, right?
About
In the beginning.
two, about 2 to 3 years, I think. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so after that, I got the randomly. So my wife, she was pursuing her master's in Canada, and I accompanied her to Canada just to be with her. I actually plan to go back to our beautiful
Mm,
country, and we will talk about that in a later segment.
sure.
But we after that, I actually uh, I was looking for jobs. It was actually very hard in the beginning. I got the opportunity to work for a very small digital marketing startup in Vancouver, and then I
Hmm.
was hired by the government insurance corporation in my province to
Hmm.
work as a digital analytics specialist. And there I
Hmm.
did a lot of Google Analytics, a lot of insights analytics, and then I had the opportunity to work for HSBC Bank as an optimization specialist, and I was promoted to be a digital sales manager, and that's how I am
Right.
here today.
Sure. So, Nadira, just a quick question from your the Canadian experience and the for our audiences to understand it, because like in in Sri Lanka, like I mean, the entire industry is centered around Colombo, right? You take like marketing. digital marketing, like I'd say 90% or 95% of the jobs are like in and around Colombo, but like Canada being a large country, so like how's the digital community, the digital marketing community in Vancouver area, like how it compares with rest of the country and the opportunities in your area and all that.
I would say pretty similar. So Canada also has like few main cities like Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, maybe few suburbs in Toronto. All the like digital marketing, the big agencies are centered in those few cities because the bigger
Mhm.
corporations, the banks or the telecommunications, all of them are based out of those big cities. And there are smaller
Right.
agencies in the other cities, but I would say the situation is pretty similar. Like if you
Hmm.
go to the very rural areas, they will not have a digital agency, but everyone is pretty savvy because
Yeah.
they have internet in every city, and most of the things like banking happens online. So there is internet, but the marketing happens in the bigger cities.
All right. Okay. Great. Cool. So we'll get to the scheduled topic for the day about like data driven marketing and improving your customer experience through data insights. That's what we are actually going to discuss today. Now, so to start this, like I mean, let's start with a very simple question. Now, a lot of people are now talking about this data driven marketing, decision making, and all these things, right? Now some people mistake this data driven marketing with advanced data science and AI driven marketing automation and stuff like that. Now, what exactly is data driven decision making in marketing, particularly? Now let's take the context of a website. Now, what exactly is data driven decision making in the context of optimizing the customer experience for a marketing website? Like, what to what extent we need to be having the skills in data science and AI and all these matters. So we'll start there.
Okay, so um, in summary, I would say you don't need a lot of advanced data science or analyzing skills. You need some basics in digital marketing analysis. So knowing what macro and micro conversions are, how you can measure your goals, your website goals, and then using basic, there are very easy tools like Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics, and then there are visualization tools like Tableau that can
Mhm.
help. Other than that, you don't need like an advanced statistics knowledge or data science knowledge to improve your website.
Right. Okay. So like say for example, now if I'm already like aware of using Google Analytics, now from there, where should I go in terms of improving my skill set
Okay.
to become a good data driven marketer or data insight person for a e-commerce company or a marketing brand? Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing we always forget is that quantitative data isn't everything. So we have
Yeah.
Google Analytics is mainly quantitative, the numbers that shows how many comes to your website, where what pages they visit, what kind of content they're engaging with, how much time they spend. All of that is numbers. But
Right.
on the other side, you need to map that with
Hmm.
the qualitative side of it. What people say on exit surveys, what your frontline staff, like the branch, let's say if you're a bank, it's a branch. If you're a supermarket chain, it's your cashiers. So what those staff hear about the website, what they say could be improved. Now, there are ways you can get it. There are call centers, there are call center logs. So
Hmm.
map the two, and then uh, from that you can kind of bridge. some ideas on where to improve. So
Right.
yeah, once you have that, then go on to do um, brainstorming within the teams that you're working with to find ways to improve.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
will come to some more advanced A/B testing later on, and then you
Sure,
test
sure.
the ideas and then find
Yeah,
out how you can change to
yeah.
get better revenue and provide
Right.
better customer experience.
Sure, sure. So actually, my next question, Nadira, before I ask that question from you, like, let me actually present you kind of like a practical situation that I'm actually currently facing with a client. Actually, I'm working with this client who is into uh, an e-commerce client who is selling like high ticket items. I mean, it's not B2B, it's B to consumer, but the average basket value in the range of like $3,000 to $4,000.
Hmm.
Now for this customer, this client, like one of the problems we are trying to sort out is the add to cart ratio is extremely low. It's like 0.25%. Now this the average basket value is $4,000. So I mean, so the client is sustaining the business because it's relatively high value products the client is selling. But like we are struggling to get this add to cart ratio from 0.25% to 0.5%, whereas we are seeing like benchmarks of 7%,
Yeah, yeah, it's way
10%.
high.
But we are struggling with the 0.25% for a long time. Like now with your experience with, like, I mean, doing this for your current company at HSBC, looking at this data and all that, like, now how would someone know why people are not adding these products to the basket? Like, what are the reasons customers, they come to the product page, they look at it? Is it always the price? Because that's one of our assumptions, because this is a high value. I mean, some of the products are like $10,000, $15,000. I mean, we are assuming that, okay, people to buy that price, they might be a little scared, reluctant, trust factor and all that. These are all hypotheses. But how would I know exactly what is the reason why people are not actually adding it to cart? And how do we identify these customer pain points on these platforms?
Okay, so uh, first of all, like um, you mentioned, so that psychological cost is also a factor. Like we can't disregard it if it's a very high value product. It's people look for some kind of confirmation, some kind of comfort before making the decision. So that
Hmm.
has a factor. Like when we look at very high value products, the add to cart ratio or the conversion, the upstart rate we call it, is going to be very low. Um,
Hmm.
that's okay, but it can't be as low as 0.25. So what I would do is I would look at the product pages and see how much comfort or how much
Hmm.
uh, we use a term called plain. So how much urgency, how much need the landing pages create for someone to add that product. So
Hmm.
you can measure that using some of the analytics by analyzing like the individual clicks to different elements. Example, if you have, I'm just giving a very very basic example. If you have a very high value product like let's say insurance,
Hmm.
what how much uh, documentation you have on the website and how many are clicking on it could be an indication, just an example. So
Right.
those individual items in your website, how many are scrolling down all the way to read
Hmm.
and absorb? um,
Right.
it could be like you have 100 people, only like one person is even reading because the
Hmm.
content isn't interesting. So
Hmm.
look at data like that, and then also get some
Yeah.
qualitative data like exit service or even
Right.
the
So that
call
that
today.
that part you do it using event tracking and all that, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah. So
how they right.
yeah, event tracking. So event tracking shouldn't be too complicated. Like there are so many tools that you can use, uh, uh, like click tracking. I've heard of Crazy Egg. So there are some advanced tools, but you don't need to spend a lot. You can actually make
Mhm.
your analytics tool like Google Analytics to track all of that if you know a little bit of coding. And if you
Right.
learn Google Tag Manager, you can do a lot of, I think very well, we can make Google Analytics track all of the clicks, the downloads, the file
Mm.
downloads, all the interactions, even scrolls. So
Right.
when you have that, marry that data with some qualitative data coming from exit service or from your call center. If you have live chat, do you have live chat on the website?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So live chat data that can be very helpful in
Mm.
finding out like what questions customers ask while on the
Mm.
page. So
Mm.
if there are some questions, if you find patterns, you can address that in the content to make sure they can feel comfortable knowing all of that without talking to a live chat agent and can click on that add to cart button.
Right. Right. Okay, so Nadir, okay, so before I go to my next like scheduled question, I heard you mentioned something about like A/B testing. I'd like to hear from you about that a bit, like
Okay.
how does
So
that work? Yeah.
So in the process, when we find out, example, let's take your example of that high value website. When
Mm-hmm.
you marry the data, you find out some things are not working. Let's say you find out that you need a certain um, document uploaded. Let's say it's something that explains terms and conditions. And now we are we have an assumption that when we upload this document, more people will download it, read it, and will click on add to cart. But that's
Mm-hmm.
just an assumption,
Yes.
just an opinion that we
Mm-hmm.
came to using data, but we haven't confirmed it yet. So how we confirm it is by running an A/B test. So for 50% of people, we show the document. For 50%, we don't show that. I'm just giving an example of a document. It can be just like a content snippet on the page. You
Mm-hmm.
add the content and then you don't add the content, and then you do a test. You can do it live. There are so many tools. Google has their own A/B testing tool, Google Optimize. Adobe has Adobe Target, and there are like hundreds other tools that can help you run A/B tests. And from the test, you can really find out if adding that content or that file help customers increase conversion rate.
Right.
And when you know that, um, your assumption is validated now. Your hypothesis is validated, and you can add that document and get an uplift of, let's say,
Right.
0.5%. Yeah, that's A/B
Interesting.
testing
Yeah.
in a very nutshell, but
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
are a lot of advanced things about A/B
Sure.
testing.
Sure. Absolutely, because I mean the A/B testing, the ads that's I'm very much familiar, but like I mean I think like this is where a bit of like technical knowledge is required when it comes to A/B testing landing pages and everything. So you mentioned some tools about like A/B testing. What tools that you can recommend? Maybe like paid tools or free tools someone can use for A/B testing purpose alone.
Yeah, so the best right now, the market leader is Optimizely. Um,
Right.
if you have heard of it, widely used, very easy to use, and there are some advanced capabilities like auto testing or even
Hmm.
personalization you can do with Optimizely. That's the
Right.
best in the market right now, and there
Okay.
is Adobe Target is very good.
Hmm.
Um, if you are on the Adobe suite with Adobe Analytics, Adobe Audience Manager, that is very helpful to use Adobe Target. And there is
Hmm.
Google. If you're on the Google ecosystem, you can use
Right.
Google Optimize 360, I think it's called, as well.
Right. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect, Nadira. Okay. So we have a quick question from Amar Ahmad. He's asking about like use of digital PR for building credibility. I think it's a very interesting question. I also have something to add, but yeah, Nadira, what's your input on this one? Like
I
about
think
yeah.
definitely helps to have good digital PR. It helps to have that kind of trust or credibility built, especially in social networks. But it's not very easy to track that impact. So I would say start with your website or where you're trying to sell your product. On the website, add so the, get your PR team to come up with some kind of copy that helps or comforts the customer to click on that add to cart button. Have that on the website and test it and see if it's working. And you can of course build it around on your homepage or on social media, on newspapers. It can be anywhere that media is. It can be on TikTok, but make sure your final conversion landing page also mentions something about it. um, I think Amita, you had something to
Yeah,
share.
yeah. I mean, so I have kind of like a experience there as well. Like I mean, sometime back, like we worked with a new e-commerce client or a new e-commerce business of a well-known large conglomerate company in Sri Lanka. But I mean, strategically, they didn't want to use the name of the conglomerate when they were advertising for the new e-commerce site. And we were doing all the performance marketing campaigns and everything. I think myself and Sitira, we worked on this campaign sometime back. And what we realized was, okay, we were doing everything right in terms of performance marketing, search engine marketing, but still the conversion rates were low. People were not actually willing to buy stuff, even though the prices were so attractive. So we were like trying to put our head, wrap our head around this, and then we realized that the fact that they are not using the parent company's credibility is harming them. And we asked, okay, why can't we use that? And they had a legitimate reason why they don't want to actually use the parent company's branding on the new website. So then what we told them, okay, the counterintuitive recommendation from a digital agency, we recommended them go and advertise on hit ads and maybe buy some outdoor hoardings, because our people, for Sri Lankan people, this is like 6-7 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, at least 5 years ago. At that time, for our people, like buying on the internet, they need a lot of credibility. They have to verify that there is an actual company by this name located somewhere. They want to see it physically somewhere. So that's why we told them, okay, when you're advertising on hit ads, people consider you serious, because I mean, like, all, if you look at all the companies who were like advertising on hit ads at that time, like all the large appliances brands, real estate brands, and all these big companies were advertising there. So we told them, you also go and advertise the site there, and that will kind of like give you that the additional credibility. So yes, PR and non-traditional advertising in some situations can actually add to that credibility thing, especially in a culture like Sri Lanka, where our people, they still tend to give higher weightage for things that they are seeing on traditional channels. Right. So that's Amar Ahmad's question. And if any of you are having any other questions regarding the conversion rate optimization, data insights, and all that, please feel free to leave a comment and ask. And I'm going to ask my next question from Nadheera. Now, Nadheera, you are from HSBC service sector company, right? Now, if a service sector company in Sri Lanka, be it banking or insurance, education, right, wants to initiate a data-driven consumer insight mining program to improve their customer experience, now, what specific skills they have to have in their team, in their department, and what are some of the technologies that they need to master? Why I'm asking this question is, this is again something that a lot of the companies are unaware. Like, I mean, they just read the headlines and they go online, they create websites and all that, but they don't have the right skills to run a proper e-commerce or web-based lead generation strategy. They have the traditional department structure, the brand manager, the communications manager. They have that structure, but they don't have uh, your role in most of the service sector companies in Sri Lanka. So what are those, some of those roles, some of those skill sets the team need to have, and some of the additional advanced tools they can actually invest in?
Right. Yeah. So I'll start. I have a list, but I'll start from the very beginning. Um, in the skill set, one of the main things you'll need is someone who is good at digital marketing and has a good background in data as well. So that's a hybrid that's very kind of a little bit rare.
Hmm.
Someone who studied, it can be someone who studied communications, media, but with a good knowledge in statistics and mathematics. It can
Hmm.
be someone who studied statistics and mathematics with a good
Hmm.
knowledge in marketing. Um,
Hmm.
and it can be someone who's in IT, so who's a coder or a software developer who knows a lot about marketing. So that
Hmm.
combination of digital plus um, marketing, that's one skill you need when you're setting up your e-commerce
Yeah,
website.
wait
Yeah,
a minute, Nadheera. Like, I mean,
yeah,
let me interrupt you there. That's very interesting because, like, even right now, in the Sri Lankan context, those who are getting into the digital marketing and performance marketing field are people who are largely from marketing background. I mean, they are coming from their CIM or a marketing degree and all that. That's where they are coming from, or they are coming from an IT background. But you mentioned like statistics, right? Now, do you think that, like in Sri Lankan universities, there are plenty of statistics degrees? Now, you followed at physical science faculty at Jayardhanpura, it's a stat degree right now. Now, even art
yeah.
faculties are having stat degrees, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, do you think that there is a chance that we can upskill those people for some of these new job opportunities
Yes, of
coming
course.
from this?
Yes,
Hmm.
of course. There's a big knowledge, like a curriculum gap in what Sri Lankan universities produce and what the job market needs. So that's one of the things where people can if we upskill them,
Hmm.
it's like we are increasing their potential salary from something like 50,000 rupees to something like 300,000 rupees. So that's
Hmm.
how much capability potential these people have, because they have the background in maths or statistics.
Yeah.
But if you add in some of the digital marketing, there'll be a uh, big change. But I
Yeah.
highly doubt our leadership will
Mm.
even open their eyes to this opportunity.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We can't expect the authorities to do this. I was thinking, like, because, like, it's very interesting. I mean, very recently I got to know this, like in Sri Lanka, like from most of these art faculties, there are like a lot of degree holders coming out from these art faculties who are holding a degree in statistics and mass communication. Now, if you look at uh, statistics and mass communication, so these are some skills which we can reskill and upskill for digital marketing, because ma- mass communication can be reskilled and upskilled to become a behavioral economist, to influence changes. And a statistics person, maybe they might be coming out from a art faculty, but still, if they are willing to, if they're willing to upskill and maybe like follow some additional programs, and there are plenty of opportunities for them. I think that's an untapped territory in terms of skilling people. That's something that actually just ignite, as you were talking about, like these skill sets, statistics and all that. I think that's an area that we have to really seriously look at, because I see a lot of undergraduates every year passing out from university, from art faculties, mass communication and statistics. Maybe there is an opportunity for them to get into some of these areas.
And there's definitely an opportunity, like you said. It's not it doesn't have to be the authorities, it can be the individual student
Absolutely.
knowing this opportunity. So that's one of the things that we lack as a nation, like good career guidance, knowing
Absolutely.
all of these opportunities exist, and
Yeah.
that you can take action, like you can, let's say
Yeah.
API DM, or it can be CIM.
Yeah.
You go and you upskill a little bit, and then you make a big change in your
Yeah,
life, in
and
your
and
career.
and maybe even a voluntary organization like ISEC can get involved here.
Yes,
I mean, if
definitely.
anyone from ISEC watching this now, Nadheera is a former ISEC. I think ISEC is now very active at every university. Like maybe like I mean, this is something that you can do. I mean, I get a lot of emails every day from ISEC people for sponsorships. Yes, that's also very important. But at the same time, I mean, these are some of the new projects we can do. Like I think ISEC is very much active in management faculties, but like maybe they can partner with their colleagues in art faculties as well, and create more opportunities for the
Yes,
undergraduates. Yes.
yeah, for sure.
All right. So there was another
Oh yeah,
question.
so I
If
think
I'm
I was just starting. There was just one
yeah
skill. So the other skills you need to build a good e-commerce team is next. It goes to the art faculty that we talked about, user experience.
yeah.
So user
Hmm.
experience is something really important. And so knowing what your customer would like, would want to see on your website. Uh, uh, Different elements, it can be colors, it can be how
Hmm.
you lay out things. So this is very much an artistic skill.
Hmm. Hmm.
um, that's very important. And like, I see a question from Maurice about customer predictability. It's very hard to predict customers, but if you have a good user experience person, they can test different elements, different layouts, different colors, fonts. It can be how you write artistically, like how you write your copy on your website. That can help you um, uh, predict what customer would like, and then you can possibly test it. So that user experience with some data capabilities is another skill. And then digital analytics is a third skill. Now, even though I'm from digital analytics, I'm not saying it's the first thing you need. You don't need an analytics person. Like someone doing digital marketing, someone doing user experience can also analyze. But if you have further budget or capability to expand your team, uh, get someone who has a deep knowledge in digital analytics, knows what to track, how to track, tools like Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, or other tools like Adobe Analytics. And then this person also needs skills like visualization and storytelling. So, knowing tools like Tableau or
Hmm.
Looker, that's from Google, um, to tell the story of what's happening in your website, what's wrong with your website, and convincing the higher ups to make those changes is very crucial. Because something that happens is you have all these people, but they can't convince the higher ups to make the
Hmm.
change. That then you will not get anywhere, even though you have really good digital marketing user experience skills, if you can't convince. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
storytelling is a big skill that you need in your team.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Okay. So, guys, like any more questions? Amar and Maurice asked some valuable questions. So, any of you are having any questions related to the discussion we are having, please leave a message. So, we'll take that question to the discussion. So, okay. Now, Nadhira, now
Before
yes.
I need to further answer that question from Maurice. So customer predictability, we can't predict the customer. It's very hard. It depends from region to region, depends from country to country, market to market, like male to female. It's very different. So some of the tools to learn customer predictability, I would say testing tools like Adobe Target, Google Optimizely, use them to test what you do. Because if you have a assumption, let's say I assume all females will like the color pink, it might not be right in a different market. So
Hmm.
you need to test if you want to predict, or um, or know what your customer is going to do. You
Hmm.
definitely need to test. You can't predict your
Hmm. Absolutely.
customers.
Now, testing is something that I think in Sri Lankan context, a lot of the companies they have to take a serious look at about testing because, like in most places, the decisions are made by Hippo method, the highest individually paid person's opinion, right? So that's how the website design decisions and all the marketing budget allocation decisions are made. But testing, measuring, and that's something I think Sri Lanka need to do really rapidly, really fast because there's a lot of room for that. I think we can take. Okay, so Nadheera, now we like come to more than like half the time allocated. Now there'll be some more questions coming in from the audience. We'll take those questions as well. But like coming towards the latter part of our discussion. Now I'm going to ask you another question. This is actually to get our youngsters inspired because I know that like a lot of the university undergraduates are tuning in for my show because there are like undergraduates coming in from University of Sri Jawadanapura, Kalaniya, and some people from NSBM and few other places I know, Sleet. There are people who are joining in from those areas who are planning their, careers ahead and all that. And now for for the benefit of them, now you've been in Canada for about now 8 years, and you have successfully built your professional career in this data analytics in your region in Canada. Now for a young Sri Lankan graduate planning to migrate to the USA or Canada, that region, what advice can you give based on your experience of working in the region for 8 years? What were your ups and downs? What they should expect for if when they are making that decision? Any insights to share on that?
Yeah. So first of all, I would say it's um, the first few months are going to be definitely difficult, but after that it gets easier. So one of the skills that you'll definitely need is communications. Like I said, storytelling. It's a skill that everybody needs. It's not just digital analytics, digital marketing, but an engineer or a doctor or a you're going to have your own business, have your own shop. Like you need storytelling. So communications is a big one. To be able to speak in front of a crowd, in front of a board, and convince them something. So that have very good communication skills. If you are an undergraduate, make sure you go to maybe an English um,
Mm,
uh, a class, or like English where you can speak in English. Isaac is a good one. They let you speak to your members in English and all of that. So and Toastmasters is a good one. Gravel Club, I think,
absolutely.
in University of Monaco is good. So these places where you can practice your speaking, that's very important, because I see a lot of talented people coming to North America, but not going to their full potential because they can't speak or communicate really
Absolutely.
well. So
Yeah.
that's number one. And then building networks is a key one, because I've seen in Canada, in North America, you get jobs just by knowing people. So when they recruit, we say in Sri Lanka, like you have someone in family, you can get a job. It's not your family, but people trust those they know. So example, you go into a meetup and you get to know somebody in a company, and you go for coffee a couple of times, build trust, and then the next time he gets a space to hire somebody, he'll hire you. That kind of
Mm.
building networks and knowing people, getting to know people, getting friendly, that's important.
Yeah,
And
and then
then yeah,
Nadira, let me interrupt you there. Like, I mean, so
yeah,
like, I mean, there are like plenty of like internet memes about the Canadian culture, about being nice to each other and all that. Like, how competitive is the Canadian culture when it comes to job market? Like like India, if you take as an example, it's cutthroat competition. Like, if you are not up to the game, you are out next day, and it's it's really difficult to get into a proper position there. So that competition is there. Sri Lanka, I'd say it's not that competitive. People, I don't know, like in certain categories it's there, but like I mean, hearing the all these memes about the Canadian culture, about like easygoing and all that, like how competitive, particularly in this digital marketing area when it comes to the job market,
So
getting into a job.
uh, I'll start with like overall culture is very laid back, I would say, compared to other markets like United States or India.
Hmm.
Canada is very laid back, like people are slow, and that's why you don't see many of the like the big startups like Uber or Airbnb coming out of Canada, because we have a very laid back culture. We have a lot of red tape, a lot of rules. So it's like that overall culture. People are really nice if you talk to them. People are really nice, but if you don't perform, of course, you go home the next day. The rules are made in a way that you are made to. You can easily get fired in the even though people are nice. I've had instances where like my managers had to go home. They were told in the morning and they go home right away in 1 hour. So it's not safe, I would say. Like if you don't perform, if you don't keep learning, it's not easy. But it's not as cutthroat as other markets. So that's my answer.
Right. Okay, great. So, Nadir, we have two questions. Navid, your question is a little too lengthy. Maybe, Nadir, you can read that question before we actually take it for discussion. In the meantime, let me actually, uh, yeah, I think Shahan Pereira is an undergraduate from Sabaragamuwa University doing marketing management. Okay, right, right. Okay. So, what's the best course I need to follow? Is it digital marketing or marketing analytics? Well, Shahan, like digital marketing and marketing analytics, you can't necessarily separate it out. You have to have the digital marketing skills to get into analytics. So I'd recommend you to start like getting a overall understanding about digital marketing first, and when you are getting your first step in digital marketing, you will get an introduction to analytics somewhere, and from there you start actually building your analytics and data driven career. Because I mean, without a proper foundation in overall marketing and digital marketing, it might be a little difficult for you to straight away get started with analytics. So that's my answer, Shayan. So you can start like by maybe self studying stuff, all that, and gradually get into the analytics side. So, Nadira, Naveed's question, I haven't read it in full because it's a huge question, I'd say. So our faces are also covered. What type of user research, qualitative research, have you connected in B2C business that you have experimented, which you think has given you the best result? I think he's asking about what type of experiments that you can give as an example, which change something in terms of the results, right? That's
Yeah,
what I think Navid is asking. Yeah.
yeah,
Anything to add on that?
yeah. So in terms of like what experiments we it's not easy to get into like something like focus groups because it's very expensive. So honestly, I haven't done any of the anything's like focus groups. I've used a lot of
Mhm.
website exit surveys, online
Right.
surveys. I think one of the other tools that have worked for me are um, uh, the call center or live chat agent feedback to find
Right.
out like why people are not buying the product or why
Mhm.
people are finding it hard on the landing page or the website, because
Right.
they have like first-hand experience talking to customers, asking like the questions we have. Example, I'll give a example. I can't give specifics because of regulations, but
Sure.
we were looking at one product, improving one product, and the data showed that people are not buying it. There is a high bounce rate as well. So when I talked to the live chat agents, they told me what they told me was there are a lot of like about 60 to 80% of people coming to this page are looking for a different product because the names are similar.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of insight sometimes you might not get from quantitative data. So that's some like very like offline or like live
Mm-hmm.
chat or frontline staff data that helps you
Yeah.
validate what you're seeing on data. So look at that. And in terms of experimentation, it's always A/B tests that have given me the best results, because even though we know something should work, sometimes it doesn't work when we test it out.
Mm.
So that's the answer to the first part
Sure.
of the question. In terms of statistics analytics, what tools do you really need to understand, and what information do you need to decode to make these decisions? So you don't need a lot of advanced tools. If you conduct an experiment, or if you have a focus group, or have an online service, just Excel. Um, Most basic you need is Excel to analyze the data. If you have a good person who knows numbers, you don't need a lot of fancy tools. But if you
Mm-hmm.
go into telling a story, sometimes Tableau helps, sometimes Power BI helps, because you can
Right.
combine, your
How
digital.
does these
Yeah,
tools compare with Google Data Studio? Like, are they in the
it's
same league
it's the
or?
same. It's the same.
Right.
All of them are like Tableau,
Right.
Google Data Studio, Power BI. They all do the same thing. They can get
Right.
different data sources together that tells
Okay.
a compelling story, and that's what
Right.
matters in the end. You might be able to do it in Excel Access
Mm.
sometimes, but it will take time. But these tools can make life easy.
Right, absolutely. I think Sisira is asking a question. Is there any place where we can get uh, these data for modeling purposes? I think Sisira, you are asking about maybe like test data also. I think Google is having a demo account, Google Analytics. Maybe that's something that you can try out, right? For someone to practice with data
Yeah,
for
practice real data. Of course, there are a lot of data sets. I personally don't know. So
Mm,
what I do, if you want to practice like showing different sources, like I take my credit card statement and then I analyze it on Google Data Studio to
mhm.
learn how to, take different inputs, then I add my, debit account into that. And so that's different data sources, Google Analytics and maybe customer live chat data. So adding those two together. So you can practice with your own data, or you can actually, you don't have to buy. There are data sets available. If you go into Tableau website, they have example data sets. If you go into Google Analytics, Google Data Studio, they should have. So it's not hard finding real data if you look around.
Right. Okay, great. So thank you very much, Nadira. I think we've come to the top of the hour. Like we've allocated 1 hour for this session, and it was a very interesting, rich discussion we had about using data analytics, and like in each of these discussion, I every day I'm finding some new insight. I mean, it's some new learning for me as well. So, Nadira, thank you very much for sharing your experience, knowledge with us, with our audience today, because that's the objective of this program. Because I think Sri Lanka is not making enough with our expat community. That's something that I have felt for a long time. There are plenty of good professionals, Sri Lankan professionals, working around the world in various different areas at various different, because I mean they get exposed to market conditions which we are not like privy to. And that experience, if we can actually create a platform to connect them back to Sri Lanka without them traveling back to Sri Lanka necessarily. If we can kind of like create a community network like that, I'm sure like the Sri Lankan economy can get benefited a lot by sharing the expertise of people like you, Nadira. So that's one of my personal missions in getting this program going on. So I started with people I know, but like anyone who is actually watching this program, like if you have any other good Sri Lankan professionals, experts, working in any part of the world in various different professions, if they are willing to share their knowledge, their experience with the Sri Lankan professionals, undergraduates, graduates, fresh graduates, please connect with me. So you can connect with me on this email address. Just drop an email to Amitha at apidm.asia, and I'm more than happy to host them in some of the upcoming shows. Right. So with that, to wrap up the show, Nadheera, any final remarks for you to share? Maybe not necessarily on the data driven marketing or anything. Now we are talking to a Sri Lankan audience after some time. I think maybe if you have like any final remarks for our professionals, working professionals, undergraduates, fresh graduates, what would be that?
Um, I would say undergraduate, fresh graduates. So what I um, kind of repeated a couple of times, storytelling, learn storytelling. It's important for work, important at your career, also important at your life. Trying to get different data, validate it, and then there's a lot of misinformation. If you look at the Ukraine-Russia thing that's
Mm,
going on right now, there's a lot of misinformation. Finding right data and then telling a story, telling
mm.
a compelling story and making people take action is a big skill that's going to be needed in future. So build that if you're an undergraduate looking to build a career, important in digital marketing as well as outside of your life as well. So um, that's one takeaway I have for all of you.
All right, great. So thank you very much, Nadir. It was a real great pleasure speaking to you today. And once again, thank you very much for joining and sharing your wealth of knowledge. And we'll be in touch because now through APIDM, Apidem, we are trying to create platforms to connect with Sri Lankan digital marketers around the world. Now, like if you're watching this and looking to learn search engine optimization, and we have a Sri Lankan expat living in New Zealand who did a complete course of search engine optimization. Dallas Rabot is a search engine optimization resource person for APIDM. He's starting a 100% online search engine optimization program uh, targeting Sri Lanka starting end of this month. So you can connect with Apidem if anyone is interested in taking that course. Dallas is uh, head of product for a leading SEO agency in New Zealand and Australia, that region. And he has a wealth of knowledge working with many brands in New Zealand and Australia. And he's a digital marketing trainer or rather a lecturer in one of the universities in New Zealand. So likewise, there are plenty of Sri Lankans like Nadheera, Dallas, and next show I'm going to actually interview my good friend Suranga. So he's going to talk about growth marketing next time. So likewise, there are plenty of Sri Lankans who are in digital marketing and areas. We have to connect with them. That's my mission, because we can't just like be in this market and grow if we don't actually look out and see what's happening in rest of the world. Like if the very easiest thing, the best way we can actually bring that like outside knowledge to Sri Lanka is, the easiest thing is to connecting with the expat community, because they are always ready to share knowledge. Sometimes it might be we might feel it's really difficult for us to bring in like foreign trainers, foreign experts here, but you don't have to do that when we have our own people working in some of these companies around the world who are sharing. Right. Okay. So yes, Malsha, you can reach out to info@apidem.asia and get some information about the SEO course. So that's starting end of this month. Right. Okay. So with that, we are wrapping up the show. And thank you very
I want to
much,
say
Nadira.
thank you and
Yes.
thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak after a long time to our Sri Lankan friends. Thank you.
Right. Great. Okay, Nadira. Thank you very much. And have a good day, a nice day ahead. Right.
Thank you.